Well, ladies and gentlemen, Season of the Lost is here, and it has brought with it not 1, not 5, not 10, not 20, but 29 new legendary weapons that have random rolls. Now, this number is including the Adept version, so if we subtract those, then it's actually 26 new weapons. Also, there are other weapons that got updated perks, like the ones from the Moon and Trials of Osiris, not Trials of the Nine, so don't get that confused. We will be talking about Trials of the Nine weapons in this video, but those weapons, the Moon and Trials of Osiris updated perks, we'll be discussing those in future videos. In this video, we're here to talk about the best perks for all the new weapons that came with the arrival of Season 15. That's right, I'm talking God rolls. Now, I'm going to be upfront and say that this is going to be a long one. Most of you all probably won't watch this in one sitting. Shout out to everyone that does, though. And that's why I have timestamps for every weapon down in the description. This is a video that is meant to be pulled up when one of these new weapons drops for you and you're not sure if it's a roll you should keep or not. Also, I waited over a week after Season 15 dropped before actually making this video so all the new perks this season could get out in the wild and be used so I could give you all the most accurate information. And last thing before we get started, if you are new and only if you enjoy my videos or find them useful, then feel free to subscribe. I'd seriously love you forever. Okay, let's get started. So like I mentioned, 26 new weapons. We're not going to be talking about Adept versions simply because, well, they're essentially the same as the normal ones. This is mainly going to be a PvE-oriented video, but if that weapon that we're talking about has a really good PvP role, then I will quickly mention it. I'm really only going to focus on columns 3 and 4, as those are normally the most important columns, and I don't want this video to be longer than what it already is, and I'm going to try my best to sort these by where they are acquired. Starting us off with Trials of the 9 weapons, we got 6 of them. Now, because Trials of the 9 just, no longer exist, well, these are now acquired from the Prophecy Dungeon. So starting us off, we have the Last Breath. The Last Breath is a 600 RPM adaptive frame kinetic auto rifle. So getting right into column 3, I'm only going to be recommending 2 perks, Subsistence or Demolitionist. As we all know, primary weapons now have, well, just infinite ammo. So Subsistence can essentially just allow you to keep shooting forever. So Subsistence is going to be great, but Demo as well, especially if you're looking for a grenade build, because, well, this weapon also has Adrenaline Junkie in column 4, which Adrenaline Junkie is going to be one of the perks from column 4 I'm going to recommend. Now, the other perks in column 4, if you're not looking for, a grenade build, would be Frenzy or One for All, both classic damage perks, both very good. Next is going to be Judgment. Judgment is a 140 RPM adaptive frame kinetic hand cannon for column 3. The only perk that I can honestly recommend for PvE is going to be Demolitionist. So, I mean, yeah, it's literally only Demo. I can't recommend anything else. But for column 4, well, you got Adrenaline Junkie. So if you do want to pair that up with Demolitionist from column 3, well, then you got a great grenade build hand cannon. But some of the other perks for column 4 would be something like Multi-Kill Clip, just for that classic damage perk, and Time Payload, which Time Payload, if you shoot the enemy in the head, will, I believe, do anywhere from like 11 to 12% more damage with Time Payload, but someone let me know. But I'm pretty sure that's like almost the exact percentage of the damage increase that you're going to be getting. Then for PvP, which is where most of you all will probably be using this, just because, I mean, who's going to use Judgment for PvE whenever Fatebringer exists? But hey, I'm not here to talk about which weapons you should use where, which ones are the best. I'm just here to give you the perks that you should be looking out for. But for PvP, well, Slide Shot, Opening Shot, even with the nerf to sliding this season, I still think sliding is still very effective inside of PvP, and Slide Shot is, well, just going to make it even more effective. Then, of course, Opening Shot for an increase to range and accuracy on the opening shot of an attack. Next up, we have the Darkest Before, which is a 540 RPM rapid fire frame arc pulse rifle for column 3. Well, you got 2 options, Subsistence or Overflow. Subsistence, I've already mentioned, especially on a, primary ammo weapon, is kind of busted right now just because, the infinite ammo. And then Overflow, you run over a special or a heavy brick and you're going to get a lot of ammo in your magazine. Then for column 4, you got Rampage and One for All, 2 very good classics. They're just classic damage perks. In my opinion, Subsistence paired with Rampage is the best way to go, or Overflow paired with One for All. Subsistence requires kills, and so does Rampage. Overflow doesn't require kills. It just gives you a ton of ammo, and then One for All requires you to shoot 3 enemies, so you could be using a little bit more bullets than normal to actually get the damage perk up and going. Next up, we have a Sudden Death, which is a 55 RPM aggressive frame arc shotgun. Do not use this thing in PvE. I'm not even going to recommend a PvE roll simply because, well, you shouldn't be using an aggressive frame inside of PvE. But for PvP, well, the story is a little bit different. You got Slide Shot in column 3, And then Snapshot in column 4. This is going to be more for that classic shotgun feel, something like a Mindbenders potentially. You know, Slide Shot, Snapshot, I know was a very popular combination to run back then. But if you're looking to mimic Quick Draw, because as we all know, Quick Draw got yeeted off of aggressive frame shotguns, well, you can run Surplus, which is going to increase your handling along with some other things for every fully charged ability you got. And then Elemental Capacitor, which does require you to run Arc to increase handling, but from my personal testing, from someone that actually has a Surplus Elemental Capacitor roll, running something like Bottom Tree Stormcaller, it feels exactly like Quick Draw. And I'm not joking, like it really does feel just like Quick Draw. And I wasn't even running Quick Charge along with this, which will further increase your handling for shotguns. So yeah, if you are looking for something that feels like Quick Draw, honestly is a little bit faster than Quick Draw in my opinion, then Surplus and Elemental Capacitor is going to be your go-to. Next up, we have a Swift Verdict, which is a 260 RPM precision frame void sidearm. It's a sidearm and it's not a 3-burst sidearm. So yeah, column 3, you got Threat Detector, Killing Wind, and Surplus. Threat Detector, well, it's a sidearm. You're going to be surrounded by enemies pretty much 24/7. Killing Wind is also great, and then Surplus is great as well. Then for column 4, well, you got Kill Clip and Surrounded. Surrounded's going to pair very nicely with Threat Detector. I mean, just the two synergize very well together. Threat Detector, you got to be around enemies. Surplus, you got to be around enemies. And then, you know, Killing Wind and Surplus, I think, are going to pair very well with Kill Clip. So yeah, it's a sidearm, and it's not a 3-round burst sidearm. So the Long Walk is a 72 RPM aggressive frame solar sniper rifle for column 3 in PvE. You got Clown Cartridge, you got Overflow, and you got Ensemble. And then for column 4, you got Firing Line. Ensemble is actually a new perk this season. Essentially, if you're around teammates, then it's going to increase your handling and reload speed on the weapon. And if you pair that up with Firing Line, well, you're in for a good time. But you also have something like Clown and Overflow. Clown is going to randomly, you know, potentially give you more ammo in the mag whenever you reload. And then Overflow, you walk over a heavy or a special brick, and then you're actually just gonna get more ammo in the mag. I recommend Ensemble or Firing Line, or Overflow and Firing Line. Then for PvP, well, for column 3, you got Slide Shot and Overflow. Both are great. If used properly, you literally never have to reload with either of these perks. Slide Shot, you just slide and you'll get a round back in the mag. And then Overflow, well, if you're running something like a Scavenger perk, then, I mean, you could just keep running over ammo, and it's also going to give you more ammo in the mag, you know, higher than that, you know, just normal 3 magazine that comes based on the weapon. And then for column 4, you got Quick Draw and Snapshot. Both are just great neutral game perks. So Quick Draw, you can pull it out lightning fast, and then Snapshot, you can ADS lightning fast. Next up is the new seasonal weapons, acquired mainly from the Umbral Recaster, but can be acquired from the Astral Alignment activity. Now, something you should know is that on the tier 3 of the Umbral Recaster, you can actually get 2 perks in both columns 3 and 4. So in my opinion, you shouldn't really grind these weapons out until you're at that point. Now, I know that you could actually just spam these as many times as you wanted, these tier 3 engrams that, you know, can give you 2 perks in columns 3 and 4, but Bungie actually removed that. So now you can only get, I believe it's 5 engrams per week. Hopefully they actually go back on that change, because I feel like that's just a really fun thing to, you know, farm out and see if you can get, you know, like a 9 out of 9 god roll or something. But yeah. First up, we have Vulpecula, which is a 180 RPM precision frame kinetic stasis hand cannon. For this weapon in column 3, you got 3 options. Shoot to Loot, which is a new perk this season. Essentially, you can shoot a special or a heavy brick, and it's going to automatically reload your special and heavy weapons. Then you got Outlaw, just for that classic damage perk. And then finally, Encore, which is also a new perk this season. Essentially, if you hit enemies in the head, then it's going to increase your range. And if you hit enemies in the body, it's going to increase your stability. So essentially, if you can't hit a headshot, then it's going to up your stability until you can hit a headshot, and then you can hit headshots. It's going to keep increasing your range. And then eventually, if you stop hitting headshots, you start hitting body shots, well, then it's going to increase your stability until you're back to hitting headshots. I think it's a great perk. Then for column 4, literally anything. I honestly, like, this entire column is pretty good. But my 2 recommendations is going to be Multi-Kill Clip, you know, classic damage perk, and then Adagio, which Adagio is a new perk this season. Essentially, when you get a kill, your rate of fire is going to slow down, but your damage is going to go up. And with this being a 180, literally the highest RPM hand cannon, well, Adagio and the slower fire rate isn't going to be that bad. So yeah, also explosive payload can drop on this, but, you know, we currently don't have overload this season. So I know overload and explosive payload, you know, goes hand in hand, but we just don't have overload this season for hand cannons. But if you do want to get it for, let's say, like a future season, then go for it. Next up, we have Fractethyst. I think I'm saying this right. 65 RPM precision frame stasis shotgun. Now, even though it is a precision frame, it is not a slug, so don't get that confused. For column 3, full auto or ensemble. Full auto is just great on shotguns in general, especially when you can get trench on them, which on this you can. And then ensemble, which is that new perk, surrounded by your teammates. You're going to be able to whip this thing out faster because it's going to up the handling, and it's also going to up the reload speed. And then, like I just mentioned, trench in column 4, punch an enemy, bam, 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 shoot 3 shots, punch again, bam, 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 and just rinse and repeat. And full auto is going to make that a whole lot easier. And then ensemble is going to make it easier to actually get your reloads in. Then for PvP, well, this actually has quite a good role. You can get quick draw and opening shot. So quick draw in column 3 and opening shot in column 4. Quick draw, I love quick draw on shotguns, man. And then opening shot, you know, increased range and accuracy on the opening shot of the attack. Now our next weapon is going to be the Chrysura Melo. 360 RPM high impact solar auto rifle. In column 3, you got Outlaw, you got 4 times the charm, and you got Ensemble. Outlaw, I would not recommend on an auto rifle, but because this is a 360 RPM auto rifle, well, it's not shooting as fast as something like a 600. So actually landing a headshot is going to be a lot easier. And then, of course, 4 times the charm falls under that same category. Normally, I wouldn't recommend it on an auto rifle, but because this is a lower RPM, you know, it's only a 360, and it's, you know, a high impact, then 4 times the charm and Outlaw are both going to be great. And then lastly, Ensemble, it's decent. You know, I would much rather have Ensemble on like a special weapon, because normally whenever you go to, you know, deal damage with a special weapon, it's either burst damage or boss damage, and you're going to be surrounded by your teammates because they're also doing damage. But Ensemble actually isn't that bad on primary ammo weapons, especially just for the reload speed. Then for column 4, you got Frenzy and multi-kill clip. Now, I was going to recommend Demolitionist, but because where you already have 3 really good reload perks in column 3, demo, like half of it is, you know, being able to throw the nade and instantly refill your mag. And I feel like it would negate a lot of those column 3 perks. But I mean, if you absolutely want a grenade build, then I mean, Demolitionist is here. I just think it's kind of useless, or you're just gonna have to kind of choose a perk that isn't Outlaw, 4 times the charm, or Ensemble in column 3. Next up, we have Wolftone Draw. And man, do I love bows, let me tell you. This is a 684 draw time. That's honestly just what I'm gonna call it. Precision frame arc bow. This is a beauty of a bow. You got Shoot to Loot in column 3, which I'll explain in just a second. Archer's Tempo and Impulse Amplifier. I think Shoot to Loot on this bow is going to be massive. If you do not know, bows this season actually do have Overload Bow, and Overload Bow is one of the best overload mods. And let's say whenever, you know, GMs do come out, you got Shoot to Loot, so you can shoot a piece of ammo across the room. And of course, because it's a bow, well, they can do that because they're long range weapons. And you got Overload. So, I mean, I think Shoot to Loot is going to be great on this bow. But you also got Archer's Tempo, so, you know, hitting precision shots is going to increase the draw time, or decrease the draw time technically. And then Impulse Amplifier, which I don't personally recommend, but I know some people like it. So you do have Impulse Amplifier. It's just going to make your arrows fire faster. And then for column 4, you got Adagio, Dragonfly, and Frenzy. Frenzy is just the classic damage perk. Adagio is also going to increase your damage, but at a slower draw time, which in my opinion is honestly worth the trade-off, simply because with bows, you want to be one-shotting as much as possible. And Adagio is going to let you do that. Yes, you might fire a little bit slower, but if you are running something like Archer's Tempo, then Archer's Tempo is just going to negate the slowness of Adagio. But yeah, and then of course you have Dragonfly in case you're just wanting to go pure ad clear. Hitting enemies in the head with a bow isn't that hard. So yeah, you just pop them in the head, they blow up, and then they're going to take some of their friends down with them. Next up, we have Iota Draconis. Yeah, okay. It is a 1000 charge time, high impact frame solar fusion rifle. For column 3, you got Feeding Frenzy, Heating Up, and Ensemble. Feeding Frenzy is going to be a reload perk. Heating Up is going to be for anyone that needs the increase to stability. And then Ensemble is going to be another reload perk. And then for column 4, you got Harmony and Frenzy. Now, Harmony, this is the first time that I'm recommending it on a weapon. I truly believe that if anyone is recommending Harmony on a primary weapon, they're wrong. Harmony is... No, do not use Harmony on a primary ammo weapon. Now, on a special weapon, like this fusion rifle, it's actually really good, because if you think about it in the way Destiny is, you know, kind of played, you normally use your primary ammo to kill a bunch of ads, and then you'll swap off to your special weapon that, you know, is good for burst damage or just single target damage, and, well, that's where Harmony would come in. So let's say you have your primary ammo weapon out, you kill all these small enemies or just ads, and then you swap over to kill the major, ultra, or just, you know, yellow health bar, or just, you know, big bad enemy that has a lot of health. And whenever you switch off to your fusion rifle, well, you got Harmony active and ready to go. So Harmony on this thing, I think, is great. And then, of course, Frenzy is, you know, it's Frenzy. I'm recommending Frenzy, Kill Clip, Multi-Kill Clip, Rampage a lot just because they're classic perks that are great for whatever weapon. I mean, who doesn't love more damage, you know? Then the final weapon for the new weapons from the activity or the recaster this season is going to be Canis Major, which is a 150 RPM rapid-fire frame solar heavy grenade launcher. And can I just say, 150s are back on the menu, boys. You got Clown, Ensemble, and Field Prep in column 3, essentially just trying to aid you with that magazine. Clown for, you know, a higher mag in general, you know, randomly though. Ensemble to increase your reload speed, and then Field Prep to also increase your reload speed along with just having more reserves. And then for column 4, you got Vorpal. Just Vorpal. Yeah, I know it's not that interesting, but I mean, I like 150 RPM rapid fire, you know, heavy grenade launchers, and this role I'm going to be chasing after because I think that this could potentially be great, especially if you just like using, you know, heavy grenade launchers. I'm not saying heavy grenade launchers are, you know, the best things in the game now, but if you want to use a 150, this is the one to go for. So now on to the next group of weapons, and well, this one we got 9 of them. And these are really just random world drops. Now, there are 3 weapons for each of the playlists, so Crucible, Strikes, and Gambit, that only drop in those playlists. And of course, I'll mention those when we get there, but I thought I'd just throw them into the random world drop because, well, they still drop randomly, but only from those playlists. And there's only 3 of them, so yeah. First up, we got Scathelocke, which is a 600 RPM adaptive frame kinetic auto rifle. And I've heard Scathelocke, a lot of people are calling the best 600 RPM right now, but someone let me know. In column 3, well, you got Subsistence and Threat Detector. And then in column 4, you got Rampage, Multi-Kill Clip, and Osmosis. Of course, if you are going for a Multi-Kill Clip role, please do not go with Subsistence, as well, that kind of defeats the purpose. So if you are going for Multi-Kill Clip, please use Threat Detector. But if you are going for Rampage, and I think Subsistence is great. And honestly, I think it's better than Threat Detector. And then I threw Osmosis in here just for anyone that might need to, you know, have a certain element on their, you know, kinetic weapon. I think Osmosis is really good for those type of situations. Then the next weapon is going to be Legal Action 2, which is a 340 RPM high impact frame kinetic pulse rifle. Column 3, you only got one option, Feeding Frenzy. There's nothing else good here, so only go with Feeding Frenzy. Then for column 4, well, you got Rampage and Frenzy, 2 damage perks. I don't even need to explain them. That's your role. Next up, we have Servant Leader, which is the Gambit only weapon that only drops from the Gambit playlist activities. So yeah, it is a 260 RPM rapid fire frame kinetic scout rifle. For column 3, you got Rapid Hit, you got 4 times the charm, you got Shoot to Loot, and you got Outlaw. Both, all of them, honestly, great perks. You can't go wrong with it. Rapid Hit, hit, you know, the enemy in the head, you're gonna get a faster reload. 4 times the charm, it's gonna get, you know, more ammo put back in your mag upon hitting headshots. Shoot to Loot, it's a long range weapon. You can pick up ammo from across the map if you want to. And then Outlaw is, you know, it's Outlaw. Then for column 4, you got Rampage, Kill Clip, One for All, and Frenzy. All damage perks. I'm not going to discuss them. Oh, okay. You know what? I will. Rampage, stack it up to ×3. Start doing a ton of damage. Kill Clip, get a kill, reload. One for All, hit 3 different enemies, even if they're immune, and you're doing more damage. And then Frenzy, well, it's Frenzy. So yeah. Then we got Spoiler Alert, which is a 360 RPM lightweight frame kinetic sidearm. It's a sidearm. And I'm not going to be excited about any sidearm after Bungie sunset my Last Hope. I have never used a sidearm since then, and I don't ever plan on doing it until they bring back Last Hope. But I'll still tell you the best roles to go with it. So in column 3, you got Feeding Frenzy and Killing Wind. Feeding Frenzy just for the reload. And then Killing Wind, you know, I think that Killing Wind is actually really good on sidearms. So, you know, it's going to increase your mobility along with your weapon range and your handling for a short duration after getting a kill. Then for column 4, you got Frenzy, Swash, and Demo. Frenzy is just your damage perk. Swash is also a damage perk, but can be really good for melee builds. And then Demolitionist is, well, it's not a damage perk, but it's kind of a reload perk, which will kind of defeat the purpose of Feeding Frenzy. But if you want a grenade build sidearm, then, I mean, it does have demo. Next up, we have Shepherd's Watch, which is a 90 RPM adaptive frame kinetic sniper rifle. This thing is not good for PvE. Don't even use it. But for PvP, well, you got No Distractions in column 3 and Snapshot in column 4. I've also heard that people really like the sight on this sniper. So someone let me know if you've used it inside of PvP, as I'm always looking for a good sniper to, you know, kind of use inside of PvP. So if someone has this, because I don't have a good role with it yet, someone let me know about the sight if they like it or not. Then we have Sorrow's Verse, which is the Crucible only weapon. So it's only going to drop from the Crucible playlist. This is a 600 RPM adaptive frame arc auto rifle. For column 3, you got Encore. So, I mean, it is a higher firing auto rifle. So Encore, if you can't hit headshots and you can only hit body shots, well, then it's going to increase your stability to where you can hit headshots. And then once you do start hitting headshots, well, then you're going to get more range. So now you can just hit headshots from further out without losing so much damage. You also got Feeding Frenzy just for reloading, and then Subsistence, which, like I've mentioned multiple times now, is great on primary ammo weapons, especially like faster firing ones, or just, ones that can, fire very quickly and just put out a lot of bullets, because you're going to be getting a lot of those bullets back. And like I said, you have infinite primary ammo now. Then for column 4, you got Rampage, you got One for All, and you got Frenzy. All damage perks, of course. If you are using this thing in Crucible, don't run One for All or Frenzy, only run Rampage. But yeah. Next is Annual Skate, which is a 140 RPM adaptive frame solar hand cannon. In column 3, you got Outlaw and Triple Tap. Both are pretty good. Outlaw, reload, triple tap, land 3 precision shots, and, well, you get a shot back in your magazine. Then we have Explosive Payload, Dragonfly, Multi-Kill Clip, or Swash for PvE. Now for PvP, you got Slide Shot and Opening Shot. I've already explained this. I believe there was another 140 on this list that I recommended Slide Shot and Opening Shot. So yeah, Slide Shot, Opening Shot for PvP. Next up, we have Contingency Plan, which I have heard is slapping in the Crucible right now. But yeah, it is a 260 RPM vest. I'm just gonna say vest. Rapid Fire Arc Scout Rifle. For column 3, Outlaw or Subsistence are going to be your go-tos. Then for column 4, you got Frenzy, Kill Clip, and One for All. Of course, use Outlaw and Kill Clip if you're playing PvP, and use Subsistence with Frenzy or One for All if you're playing PvE. It's going to be great rolls. I heard this thing is absolutely destroying right now if you can get a good roll. And then the final weapon for our random world drops is going to be Punching Out. Now, this is the strike-only weapon, so it's only going to drop from the strike playlist. This is a 450 RPM Suros Rapid Fire Solar Sidearm. We haven't seen a Suros Rapid Fire Sidearm in, I think, a while now. So, yeah. In column 3, you got Overflow, which seeing that on a sidearm honestly makes me want to use this, even though I just said I'm not going to use sidearms ever again until they bring back Last Hope. But honestly, Overflow might convince me. Killing Wind is, I've already mentioned how good that is on sidearms. Feeding Frenzy, and then Encore, especially Encore on a full auto sidearm where you normally start shooting around the waist and then you end up ending on the head. So if you start shooting on the waist, then landing those final few headshots should be a little bit easier with Encore. Then for column 4, you got Kill Clip, Swash, and Surrounded. Surrounded, of course, I think is one of the best for sidearms, just because you're normally going to be surrounded by enemies, and then you could also throw on like a surrounded spec. But Swash and Kill Clip aren't bad either. And now for the Iron Banner weapons this season, and we got 2 of them. First up is going to be Peacebond, which is a 491 RPM adaptive frame kinetic stasis sidearm. For column 3, you're going to want Subsistence or Rangefinder. Both of those perks are great. Subsistence, I've already explained it. Rangefinder, just because, well, it is a sidearm, so the range is going to be a little lacking, so anything that you can do to actually increase that is going to be great. And then for column 4, you got Surrounded and Swash, both great. I literally just explained, Surrounded's great on sidearms, and Swash is really good as well. Just because you're up close and personal, you can land a melee, and now you got Swash ×5. You're doing a bunch of damage. And then the other weapon for Iron Banner is going to be Forge's Pledge. This is a 390 RPM adaptive frame solar pulse rifle. For column 3, you got Surplus, Heating Up. Then for column 4, you got Rampage and Multi-Kill Clip. So Rampage for PvP and Multi-Kill Clip for PvE. And finally, we have the new Nightfall weapons and the new Trials weapon. So remember that all of these do have adept versions, but the Nightfall ones can only be acquired from the GM, which will release later this season. And then the Trials one will only be available whenever that weapon is available in the Flawless Chest, which will also be releasing later this season. Actually, at the time of making this video, it releases, Trials comes back in a few days. So yeah, it could be in the Flawless Chest first week. Who knows? First up, we have the Comedian, which is one of the Nightfall weapons. It is a 55 RPM aggressive frame void shotgun, and it is laughably bad. Some things should just stay in D1 and never come to D2, and this is one of them. In fact, I think it's so bad that I'm not even going to recommend perks for it for either PvE or PvP. Literally, nothing on it is good, and you shouldn't use it at all, okay? Now, the other Nightfall weapon is the Hothead, which is a 20 RPM adaptive frame arc rocket launcher. For column 3, you got Field Prep or Demo if you're looking for instant reloads. Field Prep is your general perk that you should use in column 3. But if you are running something like a build that allows you to get your grenades back really fast, then Demo could actually be really good for, firing the rocket throwing a nade, which is, you know, if you throw it on a boss that you're shooting at, well, that's also going to increase your damage and your DPS, but it's also going to automatically reload your rocket launcher. And then column 4, Vorpal, the only thing I'm going to recommend, Vorpal, it's great. And then for the Trials weapon, which is Reed's Regret. This is a 533 charge time precision frame stasis heavy linear fusion rifle for column 3. Well, triple tap or clown for hard to hit targets. Triple tap is going to be your general column 3 perk, but for any target, let's say Atheon, where the crit is actually pretty hard to hit, well then clown is going to be very good. Then for column 4, well, you got Vorpal or Firing Line. Pick your poison. Both of them are great. And that is all 26 new weapons for Season of the Lost and the best perks to be on the lookout for. Now, because this video was more of a, hey, here's the perks to get, and not really an in-depth explanation as to why you should go with these perks or if the weapon is even worth an inventory slot, I will be making separate videos where I go into more detail for certain weapons. Those videos will be for the weapons that really stand out and actually deserve a spot in your character's inventory. Now, with all that being said, if you have a role for any of the weapons that I mentioned that you think is really good, then drop it down in the comment section. Sometimes you all give me some really good roles to chase after that I would have never even thought about. Lastly, if you do have any questions about just weapon roles in general, then I invite you to join my community Discord of over 8,000 members. We have a dedicated weapon roles channel where you can post pictures of your weapon rolls and discuss them with other people. So let's say you get a weapon roll and you're not sure if it fits your playstyle, go in there, drop it in there, and people will respond to you, let you know what they think, let you know if it'll fit your playstyle or if it's just a good roll overall. But with all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to Nova Bomb that like button for me, baby. And I will catch you all in the next one. Peace. Also, real quick, last thing, I'm sorry I didn't upload for a week and a half. First up, this video took a really long time to make. And second up, I'm playing this season at a decent pace to where I'm not going to burn myself out because this is a 6-month season. So yeah, but with this video now being done, videos should return to normal. So new video every few days. So yeah, sorry about that. See you in the next one.